My 35F husband, 33M, has a friend, 32M, Austin, that he's known from college. They're like brothers, and together they extend their friend group. Now the group has over 7 guys who hang out together all the time. Austin and I don't get along. He seems to be mocking my infertility and brings it up occasionally. It hurts because I've always wanted children, and for him to make it a constant topic of conversation hurts. My husband thinks it's just me being hypersensitive. Anyway. About a month ago, Austin and I got into a fight after he commented on my infertility by saying that I should hurry up and give him a nephew-niece because my biological clock is ticking. We were planning on going on a trip together, but Austin disinvited me because I yelled at him for what he said and ruined his dinner. I said I was perfectly okay with that. In fact, I felt so much relief I no longer had to be around him anymore. My husband for the first time was okay with me being away from Austin, but said he still wanted to go on that trip. I said nothing till he told me he still expects me to pay for his travel expenses. I refused and said he was on his own. He started an argument about how I was doing this to punish him for not staying home with me and told me that my issue was with Austin, not him. I told him he could go get the money elsewhere, but he's unable to borrow any more money and add to his debts after he got fired in May. He insisted and I refused. He started calling me spiteful and unfair for refusing to pay for his travel expenses in an attempt to get him to stay home with me. He said his relationship with Austin is bigger than just a few comments Austin made and bigger than my exaggerated sensitivity and insecurity. Now he's sulking until I cave in and give him the money. Am I the idiot for insisting on not paying? Not the idiot. I'd consider leaving my partner over crap like that. I'm sure you have other stories here. Do not pay a dime for him. Nope. In fact, tell Austin to get out, take his freeloading buddy with him, and get out. Maybe he'll be more willing to get off his butt and get a job if Austin tells him to. They'll still need that OP to pay for their wedding. Sarcasm. Not the idiot. Am I understanding this correctly? Your husband is unemployed, in debt to the point where he has no remaining credit, and he wants you to bankroll his vacation with someone who is an idiot to you? Wow. Not the idiot. Sounds like you are supporting your husband as he pretends he's still a teenager. The least he could do is step in for you when his loser friend mocks your infertility? Who does that? Screw that guy and your husband for allowing someone he considers a brother to speak to his wife or any loved one like that. Let him go on his trip and come back to his stuff on the street in a new lock. I'm 15 years old. I have a stepsister who is a couple of years older than me, and she is really seriously disabled. I'm not sure what's wrong with her because no one ever wants to discuss it with me, but she's non-verbal, breaks her bones a lot, has severe epilepsy, and will have many fitting episodes. She also doesn't understand stuff. That's probably the easiest way to put it. She's just a human body with nothing inside. She's my stepmom's daughter. My stepmom married my dad 3 years ago, and they dated only for a year before that. I don't know my stepmom very well, and I don't really get on with her. We are respectful to each other, but I'm basically living with strangers because she's so busy with her daughter and my dad. I am always on my own and I used to hate it, but I'm used to it now. Ever since they moved in to live with us, life changed drastically for me because all the care now revolves around my stepsister. That's fine, I get it, but both my stepmom and my dad ask me to do things for my stepsister that I don't want to do and I resent doing. Stuff like staying home when I want to go to the mall with my friends. They're disappointed that I don't get her anything for her birthday with my very limited funds, etc. My own mom passed away when I was small, so I can't go and stay anywhere else, and all in all I'm just a lot angry than I used to be because they seem really disappointed whenever I say I don't want to do anything for her. Even stuff like feeding her. I don't want to sit there feeding her banana pudding and wiping her drool. I didn't ask for this. Anyway, she recently fell a few days ago and had a seizure for 8 minutes. She was taken to hospital and the doctors want to keep her in and look after her. I don't want to go and visit her. I remember seeing my mom in the hospital before she died, and I just hate hospitals and I sort of hate my stepsister, and I just don't want to go and visit someone who doesn't even know I'm there. My stepmom is really upset with me, and so is my dad. They haven't yelled at me or anything, but they are both being super cold toward me because I don't want to visit. My grandma, who lives in Canada, called me up out of the blue and told me it was okay and I don't need to force myself to go to the hospital, so I'm assuming my dad has told her I'm refusing to go. He keeps pleading with me, but I keep telling him I'm not doing it. I told him hospitals remind me of mom, and he got even more upset and said my stepsister might die, and I need to stop being so selfish towards my stepmom. I just want to know what you think because half my friends think I should go, and the other half think I'm justified in saying no. Not the idiot. You sound like an average teenager who has had a lot of life experiences early on. If going to the hospital upsets you, don't go. And don't be afraid to tell your dad what you need, which is his undivided attention for a minute. If you're in school, talk to a counselor or teacher, or ask to be referred to therapy. You have a real asset in your grandma. Call her and talk with her often. She may be a good way to get through to your dad. Hang in there. I'm sorry life is tough right now. No idiots here. You're right, you didn't ask for this, you're not your sister's carer, and having lost your mom, you're understandably uneasy around hospitals. But please rethink the idea that she's just a human body with nothing inside. People with disabilities are still people. And while I don't think you should be the one feeding her, it does seem strange that you don't give her birthday gifts. Even something small would be a kind gesture. You're in a really difficult situation, and I sympathize, but there has to be a middle ground between being her carer and rejecting her altogether. Not the idiot. I completely disagree with the notion you should be there as support for your dad and stepmom. You are a child. It's not your role to be their support system, although in a healthy dynamic, this will shift as you get older. As far as how you feel about your stepsister, I completely understand why you haven't formed a bond with her and feel like you can't. It's completely reasonable. I do think you should find a different way to verbalize it. Saying you have no bond with her is different than saying she's just nothing, and it's less offensive to people. I, 28M, have been engaged to my fiancé, 26F, for almost a year. What caused a delay was my FMIL falling sick. My fiancé and I decided to have our wedding on Jan 11th. We've already booked a venue and set the guest lists, food menu, etc. My parents live hours away. Once they received the invitations, they called to confirm the date and then demanded I drop everything and come alone to talk about the issue they were having with the date. I took time off work and went to see them, and they sat me down to remind me that on the 11th of Jan 2 years ago, my brother Isaac, 30M, got officially separated from his ex-wife of 8 years. They went on about what a dreadful day that day is for the family and Isaac, and told me he told them he won't come to my wedding since this day happens to be his divorce anniversary, unless I change the date, since he said he's planning on getting drunk and crying his eyes out for doing what he did and cause his ex to leave him. I was flabbergasted. Like I couldn't tell if they were kidding, but I politely said I'm sorry, but not changing the date period. Dad angrily said. Why the rush? You have a lifetime ahead of you, no harm in moving the wedding date, think about it. I explained that my fiancé and I paid for the venue and set everything up, we can't cancel it now. Mom firmly told me to leave my fiancé out of it, cause she had nothing to do with the conversation we were having. I got upset and said I'm not changing my wedding date, and Mom said that I'm clearly choosing a day-long celebration over my brother and warned me that I'll have to live with the fact I ruined my relationship with him over this. Dad added, telling me to think of it this way. I'm getting married on the very same date my brother's marriage ended, and asked how I can possibly not feel guilty for having my wedding anniversary be my brother's divorce anniversary for years to come. I argued that Isaac's only himself to blame for sleeping with someone else while married, and my ex Sil was right to decide she was having none of it. My parents justified it as he was drunk, but the outcome is the same. Before I left, they said if Isaac isn't coming then they too won't come to the wedding, which devastated me, cause I want my family with me to share my joy. Cause this is a big deal for me, and I wasn't sure if my parents have a point seeing more and more family are saying they won't attend if I'll still have my wedding on Jan 11th. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and I'm confused. I am currently going through a divorce, and I already have at least 3 anniversaries: the day she left, the day she told me she definitely wasn't coming back, the day the decree nisi was granted, and there will be another when the decree absolute comes through. Then of course there's our wedding anniversary, the anniversary of the day we met, and her birthday. So many dates that people can't steal for happier reasons. Clearly, I've been doing it wrong because I have completely failed to demand that my entire family arranges their life around these poignant but ultimately meaningless dates. I hadn't realized that I was supposed to spend the rest of my life mourning a marriage that is over and refusing to enjoy anything else. Not the idiot. Your parents sound like awful people. Prioritizing your brother's bad decisions over your most important day. If anything, that should be a day they want to forget and should be glad to have a happier anniversary to replace it. Also, who the hell celebrates their divorce anniversary? I'm a garbage person who cheated on my wife and she left me. Let me ruin this day for everyone else for the rest of my life because of my bad decisions. Not the idiot. If they care more about one son's divorce anniversary over their other son's wedding, they've shown their loyalties. Of course your fiancé has a say in the wedding date, she's one of the two people on that altar saying I do and paying for the whole shebang.